You know the type. Maybe it's you, the rock, the one everyone calls during a crisis. You figure things out alone, you never ask for favors, and handle struggles in silence. Society readily applauds the high achiever who never seems to need a hand. But behind that self-sufficient exterior, there is a hidden cost. While the world sees a powerhouse, the person inside is carrying a secret, crushing emotional exhaustion. This refusal to rely on others is a trauma response. Your nervous system is engaging a biological survival strategy designed to seal the world out. So, what is actually happening in your body when it reacts to a simple offer of help as if it were a threat? The very traits that protect you from being hurt also ensure you remain alone. You have built a structure for protection that has eventually become a boundary you cannot cross. We start with system calibration. This pattern rarely begins in adulthood.
It usually takes root before you turn 10, through parentification, when a child is forced to take on adult responsibilities way too early. Perhaps you had to step in for an unstable parent or manage a household. At a pivotal point, relying on the adults around you led to disappointment or danger. You learned very early on that those who were supposed to protect you could not be relied upon. Look at how your brain adapts to that environment. When the input is relying on others, the normal pathway to support is broken. Instead, the signals route directly into a red threat node. Your nervous system adopts a strict survival rule. The only trustworthy entity is yourself. This wiring creates a deep subconscious fear of being a burden. You begin to equate taking up emotional space with inevitable abandonment. If you show any weakness, you assume people will find you too difficult to stay with. The developing brain locks this equation in place as a permanent survival protocol to ensure that you stay safe and your relationships remain intact. Avoiding help is an act of anticipation. Your nervous system is bracing for the exact moment it expects to be let down again. All of this leads to active threat mitigation. In this phase, the adult brain treats vulnerability as an immediate danger to your survival, deploying 3 distinct mechanisms to neutralize it. The first is control. When you do everything yourself, you govern the timeline and the outcome. Allowing someone else to help means surrendering that control, which feels like a literal threat to a nervous system that only trusts itself. The second is perfectionism. If you make everything flawless, you can deflect judgment. Asking for help requires you to admit you don't know something, which forces you into the very vulnerability you have spent your life avoiding. Finally, there is the inability to receive. Look at this ledger. When a unit of help is deposited, your brain marks it as an immediate debt liability. You interpret kindness through the lens of a stressful transaction. You start thinking about what the other person will expect in return, or how this moment of need will be used against you later. You see help as a future threat. These mechanisms, control, perfectionism, and the rejection of favors, ensure that no one can get close enough to inflict damage. Over time, this state leads to system overload. This creates the paradox of the strong friend. Because you always appear perfectly put together, you train everyone around you to take your support without ever offering theirs. You end up surrounded by people who rely on you, while you feel profoundly alone. You can outrun your emotions for a while, but you cannot outrun your nervous system. Carrying this immense weight eventually manifests physically. Your body eventually forces a rebellion. This looks like chronic fatigue, unexplained migraines, or a sudden, total collapse in your motivation. Burnout occurs when the body physically forces you to stop, because the mind refuses to. Self-reliance allows for a functional life, but hyper-independence results in a state of self-imposed isolation. Asking for help signals that your nervous system is finally safe enough to exist without its usual protection. You are finally safe enough to let others step in. You don't have to carry the weight of the entire world just to prove you deserve to be here.